Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is episode 187 of the Audible Farm Podcast, and this episode is brought to you by Couchtown Coffee. Couchtown Coffee is roasted right here in Iowa. It's my favorite coffee. I drink it pretty much every single morning. And when I say pretty much every single morning, I mean the only time I don't drink it is when I run out, and it's a sad, sad day. You guys should check out Couchtown Coffee. Go to couchtowncoffee.com. Find a coffee you like and let them know how you want it roasted, and they'll ship it directly to your door. It's that easy. The only thing that's better than getting some Couchtown coffee is getting a discount. So let them know Audible Farm sent you, and they'll give you 50% off. Why? Because Couchtown coffee is that awesome. Thanks, Couchtown. This week I am sitting down alone. It's a solo episode this week, and I'm regaling from a recent trip I took to Chicago and played some music there. It's pretty interesting. I get into that right at the beginning of the episode. This is a short episode this week. Why? Well, it's a solo episode, and I didn't have much to talk about. So I talked about the solo show. I talked about some upcoming shows I have. I talked about other things Three Finger Betty is doing. And, I talked about merch and a couple other things. Nothing too pressing this week. And you know what? That's okay. It's all right to have a week that's not too pressing with information. I do have some fun interviews lined up. I do have a couple really, like I said it in a recent episode, I have some really interesting people lined up that I hope I get to interview. And those are going to be coming later on in the summer, hopefully. So maybe I'll quit teasing it in case it doesn't happen. But man, there's some fun stuff. A lot of crazy people have been reaching out. I've been getting people reaching out to me from all over the place, not just Iowa. And I'm trying my best to keep this Iowa based in some sense or another. So, haven't had, I don't know, they haven't fielded too many from outside of Iowa. And I'm going to try my best to keep it somewhat close to that, unless it's somebody that has ties to Iowa or plays in Iowa a lot, or maybe I just ran into him while I was playing a show in Iowa. So we'll see. Otherwise, this episode's short. It's a solo episode. I'm going to quit blabbing in the intro, so that way you can listen to me blab some more later. All right.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
All right, I am here. I'm solo this week, sitting down alone. I've been actually, broken record here. Kind of busy this last week. Three Finger Betty actually went on a trip this week. We played in Chicago on Sunday. Pretty eventful show. I'm hoping to bring John, or at least maybe the rest of Three Finger Betty, on soon to talk about the upcoming album and things like that. But yeah, that show in Chicago is pretty fun. It was at a Mexican restaurant that has punk shows, which is kind of, I'm sure like you guys are like already like 2 minutes into this interview, like what? So I played in the outskirts of Chicago at a Mexican restaurant that has punk shows, and it was pretty cool. The place was packed. There were like families in there eating food, watching punk music. It was pretty wild. Not something I'm necessarily used to. I don't think that would be something that would go down in any of the small towns that I usually play in. But it was pretty fun. It was a long drive over there, and a long drive back. So that was, for what it was a really, really fun time. It's really fun to get out of town and play at shows. And it's also kind of weirdly coincidental. We played with a band there that was on tour from Las Vegas. Their name is Jerk, and they're pretty good, so you should check them out. But Jerk, we've actually played with them another time, I believe, and I'll have John confirm this at a later date. But yeah, I believe we played with them in Omaha at what was it called, like the Punk Rock Barbecue or something. Yeah, something like that. But yeah, that was also a really fun event too. But yeah, we've played with Jerk before, and they're really good. It's fun. It's kind of weirdly coincidental. We've seen them like, in Chicago and Omaha, and then, I've played with them on both dates. So that's pretty wild. It's pretty cool that, odd little happenstance of sorts there. And so go ahead, check out those bands. There were a whole pile of other bands on the show with us. And, another thing that was pretty fun was Jeff, our bassist. We call him Geoff because we did have another bassist named Jeff. So for a while, to distinguish between the two, it was Jeff and Geoff. So yeah. Anyways, so Geoff brought his dog with, and that was pretty fun. He sat out in his van and did homework and camped around with his dog. And I don't know. It's just kind of fun to have a dog around. Go pet a dog. In between bands or something like that. It's kind of a crazy thing to think about, but I don't know if I'd bring my dog to a show. But my dog's also getting pretty old, so his dog seemed pretty fun. Real spry little thing, and I don't know, just good times all around. Having a trip out there with some of your buddies and just meeting them in a different place, and we're all coming from different places to some extent. Some people came early and went to things, and other people had things going on Saturday they had to go to, so they couldn't go early, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it was kind of fun. We all just like met up there, and it was a good time, really good time all around. It's been, like I said, it's been a while since I've left town that far and played a show. And I know Three Finger Betty's, we've done it before. We've played shows in Omaha on a couple occasions, and down in the Kansas City area, et cetera, Chicago. So we've been around. We actually did a show in Minneapolis as well. So we've been to some places. And yeah, good times all around. It's always good to get out of town and play some shows. There's still plenty of places in Iowa I'd like to play with Three Finger Betty, but punk music is kind of a niche market depending on where you go. But I mean, heck, in Chicago they have it in Mexican restaurants. So rock and roll, go grab yourself some punk rock and tacos, and rock and roll. So that's what I ended up doing. Ate up a lot of the weekend this weekend. And unfortunately, I did not have enough time to sit down with anybody and do an interview. I was hoping to do one with Three Finger Betty while we were there, but by the time we were all there and the band started playing and stuff, it's one of those things where you kind of want to be somewhat present to support all the rest of the bands when you're on a big bill like that. So, we stuck around and supported the bands, and we ended up headlining the show, which was pretty cool. They asked us to come back on another date, so we'll have to see if we can line up another date that works with all of us. And maybe swing back out to the Chicagoland area. I like to say the outskirts of Chicago. It's one of those things where it's like, well, you're in, to somebody from Iowa, it's like, yeah, you're in Chicago. But if you're somebody that lives in Chicago, it's like, no, that's not Chicago. So I think we sat down and looked it up. But we're still like, I don't know, like almost an hour away from the lake. So but we're still in the city's area. So we were in the outskirts there somewhere, but it was pretty fun, pretty good times. Check it out. There is some video maybe floating around somewhere, maybe on Facebook. I don't know. I know somebody took some video there, and it's up there somewhere. So if you guys want to check that out, go for it. I haven't hunted it down yet, but it's there. Maybe I should hunt it down, but I was also there playing it, so it really kind of is a moot point for me. So out there somewhere, there it is. Maybe I'll get John to share it on the Three Finger Betty social media account. So that's another one there. Otherwise, Three Finger Betty's Instagram is gone. Like, that's just not a thing anymore. So hopefully we'll get that lined back up, maybe. But I don't know what all happened there. Once again, it's comes down to we could not verify that we were Three Finger Betty, which sounds like weird to say that, but as like a small band that doesn't generate any positive cash inflow, we don't really have any point of like making any sort of like proclamation of the 9 cents we make at the end of the year or whatever it ends up being. So yeah, when it all shakes down, we couldn't prove it, so we didn't have any form of like ID or anything that we could show them, and then boom, away it went. And I don't know exactly what happened. I'm assuming I know based on like what reporting I could see when we were told to provide this documentation. So either way, there's no Three Finger Betty social media at the moment. There's Facebook, and all the stuff is still streamable, but yeah, there's no Instagram, I should have said. So yeah, I guess that's another thing out there. If you're running social medias, try and protect them. It's just kind of weird. I don't know. It's so weird. Like, they're all linked together, Facebook and Instagram, but for some reason away goes one account, but the other one is there. So either way, yeah, keep your social medias protected the best you can. I don't know. I have no clue what happened there. So, like I said, I do have an inkling, but I don't think it's worth putting out there on social media or in a podcast form. So like I said, yeah, just go out there, check your social medias, and yeah, just do your best to secure them with who you are the best you can in order to prevent any sort of shortcomings in any form. So otherwise, yeah, Three Finger Betty's been doing some stuff. We have an album that we recorded, and if you listen to the podcast I did with Misha a few weeks back, we had discussed how, as a band, Three Finger Betty, we kind of just want to do everything together to preserve some sort of integrity to the product. So that way, at least if somebody has an opinion that we feel needs to be voiced, we can at least still voice it. So that is kind of why we like to try to do things together. Also, it's just kind of, even though John is the foundation of everything that is Three Finger Betty, we all put our 2 cents in to make the final song, whatever you want to call it. So there is, to a certain extent, we all have like a little bit of ownership to what's going on. So we like to all be present. We do that in the recording fashion. We do that in every fashion. And in Three Finger Betty, we prefer to record in a live fashion as opposed to single tracking everything. So there's also that dynamic that has to be looked at when we record things, whether it be vocals or background vocals or the entire band piece live. That's the only things we add on in some sort of a post would be vocals and background vocals. And with the EP, we had scheduled out a date and it didn't work for everybody, so we had to reschedule it. And by the time we rescheduled it was so far down the road, it was like, all right, now or never kind of deal. And unfortunately, I could not make it happen. So what we did instead was brought in a bunch of our buddies from other bands and had them come in and do some background vocals on the album. So instead of having the whole band doing the background vocals, it was actually the band plus I think Misha might have been in on it. Everyone was in on it, as far as I know. I was not there. That's something we can talk to John about when he hops on the podcast next. But yeah, that was something we did instead. So it's kind of fun that ended up being a thing. And maybe that'll be a thing this time if we can find some people that are free on the given day that we choose. But we do have a date scheduled to finish off the next Three Finger Betty EP. I don't know. I guess I'd call it an EP. It's too short for an album, but what is a full-length album, and how do you want to argue those points? So yeah, it's definitely I think, what do we got, 7, 8, 9 songs maybe recorded, a handful of new ones, a couple of favorites that everyone's heard. Otherwise, yeah, we got some good stuff coming down the pipe there, and it's gonna be a good time in the upcoming year for Three Finger Betty. I think we might have to revamp a few things, maybe social media wise, and maybe get some new art out there, maybe get some new merch. We have pretty much sold out of one of the varieties of shirts, which I may need to go update the shop on that one. But we've pretty much sold out of one variety of shirts, and I'm not sure we're gonna get any more of those in. So yeah, I think the Three Finger Betty pinup and the Fingers shirt, those, when we sell out of those, I believe we're just going to let those go and hopefully get some new artwork in and get some new shirts printed and have that be a thing. So if you guys are looking for Three Finger Betty merch, there is Three Finger Betty shop. I think I could... I'm going to say I post it down below. Otherwise, just go to @3fingerbetty on Facebook, and there's a link there to it. So just blam. There you go. Easy peasy. That's an easy one for you. There's, let's hear it. I think it's Bandcamp. threefingerbetty.bandcamp.com. Let me look it up. threefingerbetty.bandcamp.com. Boom, there it is. So that's the link if anybody wants to go to it. There is 2 albums there. Plus that there is actually a bonus Three Finger Betty album from when we did a live studio performance during COVID in the middle of a blizzard, which was pretty awesome, driving to Omaha. That was one of the times we played in Omaha. We played at Anytime Studios. Plenty of stuff in the Omaha area gets recorded in Anytime Studio. So check that out too. Otherwise, that's threefingerbetty.bandcamp.com. There's merch there, t-shirts, etc., etc. Three Finger Betty did also finally press the studio demo on like what is actually a CD. So there's a CD of it with an actual cover and everything. For a long time, we were just burning the demos and writing on them and saying, "Here, if you buy something, we'll just give it to you," and just making them cheap if somebody wanted to buy one. But now we have actual physical copies of that. That will be on the Three Finger Betty Bandcamp soon. I still have to do some photos for that and things like that. So otherwise, yeah, that will be on there very, very soon, and I'm excited for that. I did not actually perform on that album, but it is what I learned on. That was the one that when I joined the band, they were like, "Here you go, learn the songs," and I learned them all and showed up to a practice and was just like, "How's this sound?" And the rest is history. So, like I said, Three Finger Betty is soon to have a third album out. I guess I don't know what you want to call it. Their second EP, third demo, whatever, something. Yes, there's going to be the third CD is going to come out soon. Third album, whatever. However you want to title it. And that will be, like I said, I hope that would be coming maybe by the end of the year. A lot of the albums, or at least the only one I was with, but like it seems like we tend to draw things out a little bit, unfortunately. But at the same time, we do want to make sure we get things done right, I guess, or what we feel is right, and we also want to try to do justice to what we're trying to do. I mean, I've talked about it before on the podcast. I could record stuff. I can't guarantee it's going to be amazing. I mean, it'll be good, but it's not going to be the quality level of what we have going on with, especially with our last EP. That's the proof is in the pudding. And this next one's going to be just as good. And I'm super stoked to finally pull that to an end. But that just means the next project has gotta start. So it's a never-ending thing. There's a lot of bands out there that are just crushing it, putting out albums. It seems like one a year or so, and it's wild. It's wild, you know. We're just out there playing with a lot of different bands in Three Finger Betty, touring bands, local bands, you name it. And there's a handful of local bands out there that have just been absolutely crushing it in the live scene. I do have to say Jared Harp, I see him posting a lot in the Audible Farm Facebook group. I do see he plays a lot of shows. So yeah, whether it's More Cheese or Americature, that camp has a lot going on as well. And we played a show with them maybe a few months ago. Man, it's probably already been 6 months ago since that show. But yeah, they're busy. They're busy just like the Betty guys over here. And I'll tell you what, don't sleep on the local music scene. A lot of them are blowing up. Like as far as I can tell, I've been kind of trying my best to at least glance at what's going on in different areas and kind of regionalize every band, where it's like they play a lot of shows in this area and this area and that area. And there's a few bands that are starting to get all over Iowa, and there's a few bands that are starting to really play a lot of shows in their given market and just outside of their given market. So it's really wild to know that is taking off. I'm seeing the solo singer-songwriters are just out there crushing it right now at the moment. It seems to be a very popular thing, but I do also know that there's a lot of full band gigs getting booked for the summertime for a lot of people. So it's going to be a fun summer coming up. I do know that for a fact. I know Jesse Wilson. I've played a lot of shows with him this year. I've played less shows than last year. He's done a lot of solo shows, and it's really awesome to get together with him. You know, when I get together with him less sparingly, I can still see I can see the growth that he's making still. It's more like abundantly clear than it would be as if I had, played with him every single day. So it's kind of cool to just play a show with him, every other week or this, that, and the other, just to, see his growth and how tight everything's starting to come together. And it's really wild. He's out there just crushing it as a solo act. So he's been playing shows, splitting shows with Lee Klett. And I was at one of those shows. I watched him. They got a fun concept going on there. It's really great. You know, you get a couple songs out of Jesse, and Lee plays along, does some backup, and then Lee plays a couple songs, and Jesse plays along, does a little bit of backup. And if somebody wants to take a break, you got somebody up there. And if you know, while you're doing that, you can schmooze with the people and sell some merch and go back up on stage and play some more music. It's really kind of a fun dynamic those two have going on for like duo shows. And yeah, I mean, it seems like the market is changing out there as far as like who's kind of booking what kind of shows or who's gonna choose to go on what shows. Seeing a little bit more of a spike in splitting the bills with like singer-songwriter type people, and that's actually really kind of cool because I played so many shows that were split billed. For people that are listening that don't might not understand, like I played a lot of shows where Three Finger Betty was on a show with 3 or 4 or 5 other bands, or 2 or whatever it happens to be. But I've played a lot of shows there where it's like we have this much time to squeeze all of us in. Let's split up set times and see where we're going to come out here, and then just try to come out ahead in the end. And I've played a lot of those shows, but it's really kind of cool to see the singer-songwriters kind of starting to do that a little bit. Like I said, I've seen a few places booking shows that are kind of similar to that, so it is kind of fun to see, like I said, that going on. And I guess as long as the people are okay splitting the payout, it works in everyone's favor as far as I'm concerned, so it's really kind of cool. And I feel like that'd be a good chance to network and promote yourself with another person and kind of talk to some people that you might not get to talk to any other way, or maybe like book a show you might not be able to book another way, or have people see you that wouldn't be able to see you other way. And so yeah, I feel like that splitting a show is definitely beneficial to an extent, but it's also kind of, it could be detrimental because you're losing out on the money in the first place. But at the same rate, you could also argue that I guess if you have some merch or something to sell, like it could be beneficial too on the back end. So there's a bunch of arguments you can make there. But I mean, the concept of merch has come up before on this podcast, and there's a lot of people out there that say, no, I'm not going to have merch, which kind of blows my mind. And I get it though too. Like let's face it sucks to drag merch around from show to show. It really, really does. I mean, it's one more thing. That's the other argument. It's literally one more thing. Every place you're gonna play, there's a table you can put your stuff on, but so you don't have to bring tables and all that other stuff. If you want to get fancy, you can bring a board with everything on it, or like a nice cutout that has all the stuff or whatever. But at the same time, it gets a little, I don't know, cumbersome to just drag one extra box with you or 2 extra boxes of stuff. Like, oh, I got T-shirts in here, and this one's got CDs and hats or whatever. Whatever you just choose to sell. But at the same time, you kind of also have to have something to present to people. I mean, you don't really have to. There's plenty of people I know out there that are full-time musicians that say, absolutely not, I'm not dealing with that. But I do know some people that occasionally will dabble in that, and when they do, you've kind of got to strike while the iron's hot, because you might not be able to get whatever that is again. Whether it be T-shirts. Oh, we made a run of T-shirts. It's like, well, I better get one now because they might not make another one because they usually don't have T-shirts. So I snag a lot of people's merch if they have them out. Lately, I always used to be about T-shirts. I mean, always. Concert shirts, I have aplenty. Let's just say that, and yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say let's move on, but let's peel that back a little bit. So yeah, I've got a lot of concert shirts. I've been to literally hundreds and hundreds of concerts over the years, in big arenas, festivals, small bands, big bands. If you combine independent shows with like big shows, we're probably over, in the thousands somewhere. But for a while there, I bought a T-shirt at just about every show I went to. If it was a band I wanted to go see that I made a point to go drive to go see, and yeah, I got a lot of concert shirts. So yeah, I've been lately buying a lot of hats though. If you're watching this on the Patreon, you can see my new hat, and yeah, I got me a Jesse Wilson music hat. Hurrah, hurrah! Which is pretty cool. I have been playing with Jesse for quite a while, and he finally got hats, and I said, gimme, and I got one. So, yeah, it was like the first time I saw him after he got some. I was just like, here's my money, you know what I want, and I got a hat. But you can kind of see in the background on the Patreon, if I do solo episodes, there's some hats, like there's a Matt Woods hat here, and there's a Scott Kirkhart there, and there's a PV hat there, and there's a Broken Strings hat right here. But yeah, I've got some more hats. There's a Vinny and the Night Prowlers hat over there. I got another Scott Kirkhart hat. So I'm starting to collect me some pretty fun hats from independent people around the area. So yeah, if you got hats or merch or anything, hit me up. If you want to trade some merch, I'd be more than happy to trade some Audible Farm merch for some merch from your band. Yeah, I'm all about it. I try my best to support. Wonder what shirt I got on. I bet it's Audible Farm. Yeah, it's Audible Farm shirt, unfortunately. But I do like going out places and wearing other T-shirts if I can. So it's just one of those things. I always felt like if I don't have to be a walking billboard for someone else, but if it's something I enjoy, I'll go out and support it. I'll put a T-shirt on for it. It's just a shirt. Like, I don't know. You look down and it's whatever. You know, I guess I don't really look at it too much like that. I guess there's some people that say concert shirts are lowbrow, but I don't necessarily feel that way. So yeah, if you guys got some shirts, hit me up. Otherwise, the point I was trying to make, the long and short of that was if you got a buddy that's got some merch and you want some, I guess my advice, it's not like buy the merch to support your friend. If you're going to buy the merch anyways, it kind of makes sense to buy it sooner rather than later, because otherwise you'll miss out on it. And I've missed out on some pretty fun merch from some awesome bands just over the last couple years. So I'm not like, oh, I'm super upset about it, but it does kind of like bum me out that I missed out on that, unfortunately. So yeah, if you guys are looking for some merch, Three Finger Betty, once again, there's Three Finger Betty merch. I play with Jesse Wilson. He's got merch. And there's Audible Farm merch as well. You know all about the Audible Farm merch. I wear it all the time. And yeah, I do need to up myself on some Audible Farm merch. But yeah, I still do have a decent backlog of shirts and things like that. If anybody wants some shirts, the designs that are the custom ones that I recently made are running low, I will have to say that, but the original shirts got plenty left. So hit me up if you're looking for some Audible Farm shirts. I think I'm getting pretty close to the end of this episode. I'm running out of stuff to talk about, and I honestly didn't talk about much. So I think I'm going to end it here, and I'll see you in the outro. Easy episode this week. Yeah, clocking in under a half an hour. Try my best on solo episodes not to get it about a half an hour, but you know what? I'm okay with it being a little short this week. Check out everything I mentioned here. I mean, it's pretty much just stuff I've got going on. Three Finger Betty. It's at Three Finger Betty pretty much everywhere, except for the social media, Instagram that was taken down for whatever reason. Yeah, so other than the Instagram, there's Three Finger Betty stuff everywhere. There's Jesse Wilson Music stuff everywhere, at Jesse Wilson Music on pretty much every single thing. Otherwise, Audible Farm, all the links down below for Audible Farm, they're there. Check out the Patreon. Check out last week's episode. It was tons of fun. If you guys missed out on last week's episode, they actually have the video version on their YouTube channel over on the Late Street channel. So check it out. There's a link to that on last week's episode. Otherwise, like I said, hopefully I got some of these scheduled episodes upcoming that pull through, because I got some good stuff coming up. My schedule is so wild now. I'm only free like 2 nights a week to record, and if I can't find anyone on those 2 nights, I'm kind of stuck. So it's unfortunate, but it's just kind of the way it's working at the moment, given my schedule. Yeah, it's not a bad thing being busy. Just need to also be able to take a break once in a while, you know. And that's another thing I kind of wanted to mention. Last week's episode was awesome. I mean, for as hilarious as it was, and I mean, it was just comedy gold the whole time. The video version's extra hilarious. There's so much fun stuff going on. Yeah, I never mentioned it, but they kind of mentioned it as a joke. Like, there was literally like a box elder bug that was in my pant leg like the majority of the last episode, and it was absolutely driving me nuts. So yeah, I mean, like, if you want to check out that video version, you can watch me struggle to fight a bug that's in my pant leg every now and then. That's pretty fun. Otherwise, I do know the Late Street guys have been posting this clip over and over again. It's hilarious. It was just recently posted on the Audible Farm YouTube channel. There's a clip of them in that episode that's super funny. It's definitely worth checking out. Like I said, go check out the Late Street YouTube channel for the full video. It's totally worth it. It's free there. It's 100% free there. So check it out. Otherwise, all the Audible Farm stuff's down below. Go listen to the past episodes. Let me know who your favorite guests have been so far. Who do you want back on? Hit me up. Drop some comments wherever you're listening to this or whatever on social media. All right. Appreciate you guys. I'm out this week. I will check you guys next week. Peace.